Beverly Hills, 2009, a courtroom. Catherine Falk sat in the witness stand, tears streaming down her face. Your Honor, my father doesn't know who I am anymore, but his wife won't let me see him. I'm his daughter. I just want to say goodbye. The judge looked at the documents. Peter Falk. The Peter Falk. Columbo. One of television's greatest detectives, now at the center of a legal battle he couldn't even understand. Peter Falk spent 35 years solving crimes as Lieutenant Columbo, the rumpled raincoat, the cigar. Just one more thing. He never missed a clue, never forgot a detail, never lost a case, but now, Peter Falk couldn't remember his daughter's name. Have you ever wondered what happens when the world's sharpest mind goes dull? When a man who solved every mystery can't solve what's happening to his own brain? Today I'm going to tell you a story about brilliance and decline, about a daughter's desperate fight to see her father one last time, about a legal battle that changed laws across America, and about how one of television's most famous detectives became a prisoner in his own home. Wait a minute, don't miss this detail. June 23, 2011. Time, evening. Peter Falk took his last breath in his Beverly Hills home. He was 83 years old, his wife Shera was there, his adopted daughters were not. Catherine Falk found out her father died by reading it on TMZ. But the real tragedy started years earlier. In 2007, when Peter Falk's mind began to disappear, and when his second wife decided no one sees Peter, not even his children. But the story really begins much earlier. In 1927 in New York. The boy with one eye who saw everything, September 16th, 1927, the Bronx, New York. Peter Michael Falk was born to Michael and Madeline Falk. A normal birth, a normal baby. But at age 3, something was wrong. Peter's right eye, a tumor, retinoblastoma. The choice, remove the eye or die. They removed the eye. But what they didn't know yet, Peter Falk grew up with a glass eye. Kids were cruel, one-eyed Pete, Cyclops, freak. Peter learned to fight, not with fists, with his mind, with humor. You know what's great about having one eye? Young Peter would say, I only have to buy half as many contact lenses. He turned his disability into a weapon, made people laugh instead of pity him. But inside, Peter was building walls. Don't let them close. Don't let them see you hurt. Those walls would stay up for 80 years. This is exactly where everything changed. Peter was smart. Very smart. Syracuse University. Political science degree. Then University of Syracuse for public administration. His parents wanted him to be a diplomat, a businessman, something respectable. But Peter had other ideas. After college, Peter worked for the Budget Bureau in Connecticut. Boring, soul-crushing. One day, a colleague invited him to a community theater production. Peter watched, mesmerized. After the show, he approached the director. Can I try? That decision changed everything. You haven't seen the biggest surprise yet. 1955, Peter was 28. He'd been doing community theater for a year. His parents were furious. Acting with one eye? Be serious, Peter, but Peter didn't care. He quit his government job, moved to Greenwich Village, studied at the Actors Studio, his teacher Lee Strasberg, who taught Marlon Brando, James Dean, Marilyn Monroe. Strasberg saw something special in Peter. That eye, that voice, that intensity. You're going to be a star. But Peter's glass eye was a problem. Hollywood wanted pretty. Peter was interesting. Casting directors would say, great audition. But the eye? It's distracting, Peter's response. Then cast me as characters where the eye doesn't matter. Criminals, detectives, real people. And they did. Peter Falk was 33, still struggling. Small theater roles, bits in TV shows. Then came the call. Murder, Inc., a film about real-life gangsters. Peter was cast as Abe Reles, a vicious killer who turned informant. The role was small, but Peter made it unforgettable. Wait a minute, don't miss this detail. On set, Peter completely transformed. The nervous energy, the wild eyes, one glass, one reel, both terrifying. The hunched posture. Director Burt Balaban was amazed. Peter, where did this come from? Peter, I watched real criminals in court. They don't stand up straight. They don't look you in the eye. They're animals in suits. When Murder, Inc. was released, critics noticed. Oscar nomination. Peter Falk's first at 33 with one eye, Peter Falk was suddenly a movie star. But what's really shocking, after the Oscar nomination, Peter got more offers. But always the same type, gangsters, killers, psychos. Hollywood typecast him. He's perfect for crazy roles. Then in 1968, everything changed again. Universal Studios was developing a TV movie called Prescription Murder, about a rumpled, seemingly incompetent detective who solves cases through persistence and psychology. They needed an actor, someone who didn't look like a typical TV detective. The producers saw Peter Falk in a play. That's him. That's Columbo. Peter read the script, loved it, but had one condition: I'm going to make him mine my way. No notes, this is exactly where everything changed. Peter Falk didn't just play Columbo. He created Columbo, the rumpled raincoat. Peter's idea, he bought it for $50 at a thrift store. The cigar, Peter's prop, he was a heavy smoker. Just one more thing. Peter improvised it, the beat-up car. Peter insisted Peugeot 403, never showing his badge. Peter's choice, even the mannerisms, the squinting, the distracted air. The way he'd pat his pockets looking for his notebook. All Peter directors would say, Peter. The script says, Peter would interrupt. I know what the script says. Trust me, and they did. Because Peter was always right, you won't believe this, but Columbo premiered in 1971 as a series. It was an instant hit, not an action show. Not flashy, just a genius detective outsmarting arrogant killers. Peter won 4 Emmy Awards. Columbo became the most famous detective on television. But Peter's personal life was complicated. Peter Falk was married twice. First wife, Alice Mayo, 1960-1976. Adopted 2 daughters, Catherine and Jackie, 16 years of marriage. Peter was often away filming. He loved his daughters but wasn't emotionally available. The walls he built as a child stayed up. Catherine Falk later said, "My father loved us." But he didn't know how to show it. He was always performing, even at home. 76, Peter and Alice divorced. The daughters stayed with Alice. You haven't seen the biggest surprise yet. Second wife, Shera Denise, 1977-2011, December 1977. Peter was 50. At a restaurant, he saw a beautiful 28-year-old actress, Shera Denise. Stunning, ambitious. 22 years younger than Peter. Peter approached. "I'm Peter Falk. I'm on a TV show called..." Shera interrupted. "I know who you are. Everyone knows Columbo." They married within months. Catherine and Jackie were confused. Dad barely knew her. Why is he marrying her so fast? But Peter was smitten. Shera was everything. Beautiful, charming, attentive. But what's really shocking? Over the years, Catherine and Jackie noticed something. Shera controlled access to Peter. Phone calls had to go through Shera. Visits had to be approved by Shera. Even Christmas had to be scheduled with Shera. Peter seemed fine with it. Shera takes care of everything. She's wonderful. The daughters felt pushed out, but Peter was happy, or seemed to be. For 30 years, this arrangement worked. Peter made Columbo movies. Shera guest starred in several. Peter insisted. The daughters visited when allowed. Then in 2006, something changed. 2006, Peter was 79, still sharp, still working occasionally. But Shera noticed Peter was forgetting things, where he put his keys, what he ate for breakfast, stories he'd just told an hour ago. "Peter, you told me that already." "Did I? I don't remember." This is exactly where everything changed. 2007, Peter's confusion worsened. He'd get lost driving familiar routes. He'd forget appointments. Sometimes he'd call Shera by his first wife's name. "Alice, where?" "I'm Shera." "Peter, not Alice." "Oh, right. Sorry." Shera took Peter to neurologists, tests, MRIs, cognitive assessments, diagnosis, Alzheimer's disease and dementia, advanced stage. Progressing rapidly, the doctor explained. "He'll decline quickly now. Memory recognition, basic functions. He'll need full-time care," Shera asked. "How long?" "Maybe 2-3 years. Hard to say." "Wait a minute, don't miss this detail." After the diagnosis, Shera made a decision she told almost no one. Not the press, not Peter's friends, and most importantly, not Catherine and Jackie. Peter's daughters didn't know their father had Alzheimer's. Why? Shera later claimed, Peter wanted privacy. He didn't want people to know. But Catherine suspected something else. Control 2007-2008. Catherine tried to call her father. Shera would answer, "Peter's resting. Can I come visit?" "Not today. He's tired. Tomorrow? Call later," Catherine persisted. Weekly calls. Monthly requests to visit. Shera's answers were always the same. "Not now. He's tired. He's not feeling well. You won't believe this, but..." Catherine didn't see her father for over a year. Finally, in late 2008, Catherine showed up unannounced. Shera opened the door. "Catherine, you can't just... I want to see my father. He's sleeping. I'll wait." Reluctantly, Shera let her in. When Catherine finally saw Peter, she was shocked. What you're seeing now is nothing. Peter was sitting in a chair, staring at nothing, thin, confused, a shell of himself. "Dad?" Peter looked at her. No recognition. "Dad, it's Catherine, your daughter." Peter smiled politely. "Hello, nice to meet you." Catherine's heart shattered. "Dad, you know me. You've known me my whole life." Peter looked confused. "I'm sorry. I don't..." "Who are you?" Shera appeared. "I think you should leave. You're upsetting him. I'm his daughter, and I'm his wife. And I'm asking you to leave. This is exactly where everything changed." Catherine left, but she wasn't giving up. She hired a lawyer.
"My father has Alzheimer's. His wife won't let me see him."
"What can I do?" The lawyer researched. The answer was devastating. In California, a spouse has absolute control over visitation. Even adult children have no legal right to see their parent if the spouse objects. That can't be legal. It is. I'm sorry, Catherine was trapped. Her father was disappearing, and she couldn't even say goodbye. 2009, Catherine decided to fight. She filed a petition in Los Angeles Superior Court. Petition for conservatorship and visitation rights. Her argument: Peter Falk has Alzheimer's. He can't make decisions. His daughters deserve to see him. Shera's response through her lawyers: Peter is fine. He's being cared for. Catherine just wants money. This is about inheritance. The case went to court. You haven't seen the biggest surprise yet. In the courtroom, the judge reviewed medical records. Peter Falk, advanced Alzheimer's and dementia. Cannot recognize family. Needs 24-hour care. Judge: Mrs. Falk, do you deny that your husband has dementia? Shera's lawyer: My client doesn't deny his condition, but Mr. Falk values his privacy. He wouldn't want his daughters visiting while he's in this state. Catherine's lawyer: How do you know what he wants? He can't even remember who his daughters are. But what's really shocking, the judge asked to see Peter Falk. Shera objected. It would traumatize him. Judge: I need to assess his condition. A court-appointed guardian visited Peter at home. Report: Mr. Falk is nonverbal. Does not recognize anyone, including his wife. Requires total assistance with basic functions. Advanced dementia. Despite this, the judge ruled: Conservatorship remains with the spouse. Adult children have no automatic visitation rights. Catherine lost. She stood outside the courthouse crying. My father is dying, and I can't even hold his hand. But Catherine wasn't done fighting. The Peter Falk Law, 2008-2011. While fighting for her father, Catherine realized this wasn't just about Peter Falk. Thousands of adult children across America faced the same problem. A parent with dementia, a spouse or guardian blocking access, no legal recourse. Catherine became an advocate. This is exactly where everything changed. 2008-2011. Catherine. Falk lobbied state legislatures across America. Her message: Adult children deserve the right to visit their incapacitated parents. Period. She testified in hearings, shared her story, met with lawmakers. And slowly, states began passing what became known as Peter Falk Laws, or visitation bills. The laws varied by state, but the core principle: adult children have the right to petition for visitation. Guardian spouses cannot arbitrarily block access. Courts must consider the best interest of the incapacitated person by 2024. Over 10 states had passed versions of Peter Falk Laws. Catherine turned her father's tragedy into legal change for thousands, but she still couldn't see her father. 2009-2011. Peter Falk lived his final years in his Beverly Hills home. Private nurses, 24-hour care, Shera by his side. Catherine and Jackie were not allowed to visit. Peter didn't speak anymore, didn't recognize anyone, just existed. The man who solved every case couldn't solve what was happening to him. When the door opened, what they saw, June 23, 2011, Thursday evening, Peter Falk's breathing became labored. The nurse called Shera. It's time. Shera was beside him, holding his hand. Peter Michael. Falk took his last breath at 83 years old. The detective who never missed a clue died not knowing who he was. But what's really shocking, Shera didn't call Catherine or Jackie. The next morning, Catherine woke up, checked her phone, saw a TMZ headline, Peter Falk dead at 83. That's how she found out. Not from family. From gossip website, Catherine tried calling Shera. No answer. She later said, "I never got to say goodbye. I never got to tell him I loved him one last time. That's something I'll live with forever." The detective who changed the law, what killed Peter Falk. Official pneumonia, complications from Alzheimer's disease and dementia. His brilliant mind killed itself. Alzheimer's destroyed the brain that created Columbo, the daughter who fought back after. Peter died. Catherine Falk didn't stop. She intensified her advocacy. More states passed Peter Falk laws. She founded Catherine Falk Organization, Advocacy for Guardianship Reform. She gave hundreds of interviews. What happened to my family shouldn't happen to anyone else. You haven't seen the biggest surprise. Yet 2019, California passed comprehensive guardianship reform, partly inspired by Peter Falk's case. 2021, the Britney Spears conservatorship case brought renewed attention to guardianship abuse. Catherine testified, "What happened to Britney happened to my father. Guardianship can become imprisonment. Peter Falk's legacy isn't just Columbo. It's legal reform that helps thousands of families." Shera Falk's side after Peter died, Shera gave limited interviews. Her story, "I was protecting Peter. He wanted privacy. Catherine was only interested in money." Catherine's response, "I never asked for money. I just wanted to see my father." The truth? We'll never fully know. Shera inherited Peter's estate, estimated $5+ million. Catherine and Jackie contested the will but eventually settled. What you're seeing now is nothing. Today the question remains, was Shera protecting Peter's dignity? Or controlling access for her own reasons? Some say she was a devoted wife. She cared for him for years. Others say she isolated him, kept his daughters away out of spite. The truth is probably complicated. People rarely are purely good or purely evil. But one thing is certain, Catherine never got to say goodbye. What we learned from Peter Falk. Guardianship can become a weapon. When someone has dementia, whoever controls them has complete power. That power can be abused. Adult children have rights too. Just because you're a spouse doesn't mean you should have absolute control. Family matters. Legal change can come from tragedy. Peter Falk didn't change the law, but his daughter did. Catherine turned grief into action. Even the sharpest minds can fade. Columbo solved every case. Peter Falk couldn't solve his own brain's collapse. Say what you need to say while you can. Catherine lost the chance to say goodbye. Don't let that happen to you. The Columbo who forgot Peter's funeral, private. Family only, Shera's definition of family. Buried at Westwood Village Memorial Park, Los Angeles, near Marilyn Monroe. Near Dean Martin, the epitaph, Peter Michael Falk, Columbo, 1927, 2011. Simple. Like Peter would have wanted. Wait a minute. Don't miss this detail. In 2013, Catherine Falk erected a separate memorial bench in a park, in memory of Peter Falk, beloved father, who lives in our hearts forever, Catherine and Jackie. It was as close to a goodbye as she could get. One more thing. Today, Columbo still airs worldwide. New generations discover the rumpled detective. Who's that guy in the raincoat? That's Columbo. Peter Falk, one of the greatest TV detectives ever. And now you know the rest of the story, the detective who solved every case except the mystery of his own disappearing mind. Rest easy, Lieutenant. The case is closed. Subscribe to Nursing Home. This was Peter Falk's story. Brilliance, control, loss. Subscribe to Nursing Home channel. Because every detective has a final case. Every guardian has a choice. Every family deserves goodbye, and these stories deserve to be told. Which legend's final chapter do you want next? Because when the mind goes, what remains? Peter Falk taught us laws, legacy, and a daughter's love that wouldn't quit.